Hello everyone, it's Gina from Orchid and Opal.com, and I'm back today with my next finished jewelry update, the last one of the year in fact, for December 2020. And I have a couple of pieces that I made from the recent December 2020 bargain bead box, as well as some pieces to share from tutorials I've done recently, and some original pieces I've been working on, especially that have to do with herringbone bead weaving stitch, because I'm going to come back and do some more tutorials with that in the future. If you are new here, I want to give you a huge warm welcome. I'm so glad to have you. And if you're not aware, I come back and do these videos about once a month and give you a little update on what I've been up to. I do a lot of unboxings here on my channel, so I don't like to just unbox things and show you what I've gotten. I actually like to show you what I've decided to do with the beads and findings that I have received, and maybe give you some ideas and inspiration on what you might be able to do with the same types of products. So I like to go into a little bit of detail about my design process and what I used to give you a little bit more background on that. Before we get into it though, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by Skillshare. If you haven't heard of them, Skillshare is an online learning community for creative individuals. They offer thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including graphic design, productivity, arts and crafts, and so much more. This month I discovered a class that I found particularly interesting and thought you all would too. It's called Super Easy Ways to Make Your Etsy Shop Popular by Ashley Gibb. Many of us, I know me included, and a lot of you all are trying to sell some of our pieces online. Skillshare offers this course as well as other courses that are easy to follow and give you a lot of tips and tricks on how to sell online at places like Etsy. So this is just one example of a huge number of online classes available. And now more than ever, with us still being required to remain at home in a lot of cases, it's a great time to learn new skills. Take advantage of that time and keep your mind active with practical ideas. Normally their service is a little less than $10 a month, but because Skillshare is sponsoring today's video, the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description right below this video will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. So take advantage of their thousands of inspiring classes with hands-on projects and feedback, and just click on the personalized link right down below to sign up and try it out with no obligation. All right, so here is the first piece that I have to share with you guys today from the contents of the December 2020 bargain bead box. You can see I used a lot of the items that came in that particular subscription. If you haven't seen it, it's an awesome subscription. I will link that video up in the corner, but I'm using a lot of the contents from that, including these little hematite beads, the crystal hexagons, this hexagon pendant, the beautiful dyed blue sesame jasper, even the silver bicones and spacer beads, just all kinds of stuff that came from that particular subscription. And then I could have left this pendant just the way it is. It's beautiful, just like that. But I decided to do a little bit of wire wrapping. I'm still practicing with my wire wrapping. I'm actually going to redo this because you can see that I wore away some of the color on the metal of this wire while I was doing it because I kept having to redo some of my work. But basically, I twisted the wire and then wrapped it around the bottom there and created a link or a loop at the bottom to kind of extend out this pendant, and add another one of these little hematite beads and a sesame jasper down here just to make it a little bit more interesting. And because the pendant is this hexagon shape, I thought that these crystals went really well with that and kind of tied that all together, and were a nice way to bring the eye, draw the eye up to these crystals from the pendant. Here's a full look at the necklace. You can see I just finished it up with some extender chain and another one of the little hematite beads. And I also made a quick little pair of earrings that coordinate with the beads that I used in that necklace, even using some of those little ball head pins that they included in the subscription box. I just loved all the blues and silvers they included this month. And then here's the other very ornate piece that I made, this necklace. I also have a matching pair of earrings I'll show you in just a moment. But to get into some of the details that I want to bring out with this necklace, first of all, we had this crescent shaped pendant that they sent, and that was great. You can just simply add beads onto that and add your beaded wire or chain or whatever to that, and you have a necklace. Well, they also included these two findings that you could use for coordinating earrings. But I decided to have a little bit of fun with it and pop these on either side of the pendant to make even more of a bold statement. And since this was kind of like a crescent moon type thing, I decided to bring in the little glass star beads that they sent and use those at the ends of each of these little embellishments. And then the other interesting thing was these right here, these little round components that are metal are actually from the toggle clasps. So as you can see, I actually used the toggle clasp rings or loop components in both of these connectors and turned them into connectors for the necklace, attached them to either side of these chandelier components with jump rings, and then wire wrapped a little blue goldstone bead inside. So a lot of things going on, but I really like how it came together and just an example of how creative you can really get with the contents of these boxes. And you can get as simple or as ornate as you want. So here's a look at the full necklace. As you can see, I continued the beading up each side. I used some of those electroplated agate beads, I think they were, as well as some more of the spacers and the antique silver tone bead caps, and brought up some more of the blue goldstone and the star beads to the back of the necklace. Added an extender chain from the chain that they included in the subscription box and a little star, along with the little ball head pin that they had included in the box. They're really great at including a lot of different findings that come in handy and help you put a lot of things together just from one box. And I had some beads left over, so I decided to make a coordinating pair of earrings with the agate electroplated beads, the stars, the blue goldstone, and some more of the findings that they had included. And then to get into some things that I created for tutorials that I shared this month that I hadn't been able to share in last month's finished jewelry update. This is a necklace design that I created from the Beads of the Month club that I received. It was the Hot and Trendy club, and they challenged me to come up with a new design based on some of the beads from that subscription. So in this necklace, I used 4 different beads from that subscription. I used the Arcos and the Minos Parpucas. I used the bridge beads and the gecko beads. So 4 out of the 8 beads that came in that subscription, and then just added some 15-0 seed beads from my stash and popped this onto some chain. So that was one of the colorways I played around with. And the colorway that actually came in that subscription, their theme was called Royally Minded, and these were the actual colors and contents that came in that. It was a mix of the light gold and purple, and also that mottled what they call rose gold finish on the Arcos beads. So if you haven't checked out that tutorial, definitely do so if you have some of these different multi-hold shapes and you want to figure out another way to use those in a design. It actually goes together pretty quick and it's not as difficult as it looks. And then earlier in the month, I also shared a tutorial for these Russian spiral bracelets. This is the classic Russian spiral beading stitch, just done with bugle beads, 15-0 and 11-0 seed beads. So this is how those look when all said and done. I used the 3mm size bugle beads in this design, but you could also use the 6mm larger bugle beads or longer bugle beads if you want to, and you get more of a look like this. And I think it looks especially great when you use contrasting colors of the seed beads. You get that really cool spiral-like effect. So another tutorial using beads that a lot of us already have in our stash, just different shapes and sizes of seed beads. Then I also had fun doing some Russian spiral necklaces. So these are a classic fire polish and 11-0 seed bead mix that you may have seen before. There's quite a number of beading videos sharing this particular type of design, usually in the form of a bracelet. I just made them longer and turned them into necklaces, because this is a great way to use those 3mm fire polish you may have from various subscriptions, and it's a gorgeous way to show them off. I used 3 different colors in both of these necklaces, and the other interesting thing was, because I didn't have enough of each of these colors to use to go into the entire necklace, I actually combined similar colors of strands of 3mm fire polish for each of these stripes. So each of these stripes, it's not one particular strand or color of fire polish. They're just ones that I put together that were very similar. And if I lay this out, you can see you can't even tell. In fact, it probably looks even better just because there is some variation. Like if you look at the gold, you can see some of the gold is opaque and some is translucent, and that's the mix that I put together. But because they're similar, you can't tell that that wasn't really something that came on the same strand. So if you don't have enough of the same color, don't be afraid to do that. I did the same type of thing with this purple and gray and silver color combination, mixing some of the 3mm fire polish strands I had already had. And these work up pretty fast and are one of those beading designs you can kind of do while you're watching a show or something, because it's just repeating the same steps over and over and over again, making one long rope of the same type of design. So that's the Russian spiral. If you want me to do a tutorial sharing the version with the fire polish, just let me know and I'll do that. Like I said, there's other videos out there that show you how to do that, but I'm happy to do one. They go together just like the bracelet tutorial I did pretty much, except for the fact that you're using just these 2 types of beads as opposed to 3. And then next, this is the braided quad bow bracelet that I made for the tutorial of the same name. This is the blue and black colorway that I made from the Pi Duo and Quad Bow 4-hole beads that were new to Potomac Beads. And this is a new design I made based on those 2 multi-hole shapes that you can find on their site. And this also includes some 11-0 and 15-0 seed beads. And I really like the braided effect that that has when you look at it and how those shapes came together. And then finally, from a tutorial I just released this week, these are the pleated Tila bracelets. These use the half Tila and the Tila beads, and also 11-0 and 15-0 seed beads. Here's a look at the back of the peach version in rose gold. You can see the Tilas sit right together and form this nice slinky and embellished beaded bracelet. Here's a look at the back of this one. So another tutorial you can check out if you have some Tilas and some seed beads, and you can make yourself a pleated Tila bracelet. And then next I had fun playing with herringbone stitch and some size 8-0 Picasso seed beads. I just love the Picasso finish. I had gotten a few of those beads and decided to put these together. These are just a flat herringbone stitch put together in kind of a chevron pattern. And I also added a button to use as a clasp. I left an opening in the beadwork that acts like a buttonhole. So you can just slip that button right in. And you have a very simple closure. This is another one of those basic bead weaving stitches. I want to come back and do a video on that, kind of like I did with the brick stitch, where I show you a lot of different examples of the herringbone stitch done in different ways. So that was one I was playing around with. Similar to that is this one. This is a wider one. I used more of the size 8-0 Picasso seed beads that I have, and also used another button clasp on the end that I sewed in, and then left the same sort of buttonhole on the other side where you can just pop that button in and you don't even need to add an additional clasp or anything. And look how cool that looks. So that's more of a, I guess we'll call it a vertical stripe as opposed to that chevron type of effect. And then this is a really chunky bracelet design I was playing around with the herringbone and some more of the Picasso 8-0 seed beads. I added some of the Hawaiian check glass flowers in a row going down the center of that bracelet. A little bit of brick stitch on either end to bring these ends to a point. Show you another way that you can actually finish off the herringbone. Added some beaded loops and a flower on the end that acts like a button, where you can just use that as a clasp and close it up accordingly. And there's just something about the Picasso seed beads when put together in this way with the herringbone, just reminds me of like a knit sweater or something. Very cozy like with all that texture. And then I made a couple more bracelets using herringbone in a different way that are a lot more delicate. So this is one that I made using the herringbone stitch with Delica beads, and also incorporated some beaded netting with some bicones and 15-0 seed beads. And that's just to show that you can do herringbone stitch in these little strips to connect different types of bead weaving and how it looks when you use Delica beads. I used 2 different colors, and I think that came out really cool. And I also used one of these tube slide clasps to finish that off. That goes just like that, and you can see how dainty and sparkly and beautiful that came out. And then finally, this is another way to use herringbone stitch using some bugle beads. I used some 3mm bugles, I used some 11-0 seed beads, and also some 2-hole tile beads that were in these funky peacock finish with the metallic colors. Lots of fun. I've had these check glass tile beads in my stash for quite some time, just waiting to be used, so I thought that would be a great opportunity to do that. And it shows you how herringbone can look if you use bugle beads as opposed to just using seed beads. So that's what I've been up to since my last finished jewelry update. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing what I've been up to, and I can't wait to hear what you've been up to. So feel free to leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you've done anything yet with similar materials, or if you have a favorite item that I shared. Like I said, I'll be back with more tutorials based on some of these items, especially some more bead weaving basics regarding the herringbone stitch done with seed beads. I want to give you a huge thank you for being with me today to check these items out, and also a huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video because that really helps out my channel. I'll be back with the next finished jewelry update in the new year, so I hope you'll stick around with me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and also hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified when I'm posting more beading content. And you can check below the video for links to my social media handles so you can follow along on those sites with me as well. Until next time, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. I hope you're staying healthy and creative. And as always, happy beading.